Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am the Sam, the bean is bouncing around in the background, and there are a large handful of reasons that I have never claimed to be an expert on this channel, and here's one of them. This house on the screen that you see before you is the Northwest Regional. This house is the Northwest Suburban. This is what I was planning on building today, but I googled wrong, and I ended up reading for about an hour about the Northwest Regional style, and I figure, you know what, this is a really cool style, there's a lot of really interesting history behind it, so we're gonna build that, and we'll do the Northwest Suburban tomorrow. With that being said, as always, feel free to leave your questions, suggestions, and corrections in the comments down below. Now let's talk about the Northwest Regional. The Northwest Regional house style was the brainchild of A.E. Doyle, Pietro Belluschi, John Yohn, Van Evera Bailey, and many other architects who sought to combine the sleek and angular international style with the plentiful material of wood in the Oregon area. Beginning as early as 1910, but mostly gaining traction in the 1930s, these architects realized that the local lumber was a reasonable building material for homes, if not for the other multi-story buildings in the international style like skyscrapers and office buildings. The warm wood, open floor plans, numerous windows, and residential focus made this style ideal for family living. The landscape these homes were set in was compared by John Yohn to painted panels of a Japanese screen. And you can see this influence of building homes into the environment and putting emphasis on well-maintained and centralized gardens on both his homes and those of other architects at the same time. Cedar and fir were primary materials and served as framing, siding, and even roofing material. Wide glass windows allowed light and views from the gardens and forests to come inside, and low-pitched gable roofs were most common. Inside also used a lot of unpainted wood for the floor, beams, and paneling. Sometimes called the mid-mod of the Pacific Northwest, the almost barn-like Northwest Regional homes had the goal of using indigenous materials, staying close to the ground, and becoming a feature of the landscape rather than standing out from it. While the homes were mostly built in the 1950s and 60s, this style also heavily influenced lodges and other larger structures and can still be seen in new buildings today. Whenever I talk about a home still being relevant when it was from the 50s and 60s, I feel like that wasn't really that long ago, but it has been over 60 years. Crazy. So yeah, the fact that it is still a relevant style is kind of impressive, even it has been rebranded a little bit into the West Coast contemporary style. What's the difference? The expanded use of core contemporary materials like glass, concrete, and exposed metal, and the date and place of construction. Date and place have no meaning to us though, so build what you like. Let's go. I figured building in the eco-lifestyle world made the most sense because Evergreen Harbor is supposed to be somewhere along the American northwestern seaboard, and that's also where this home is from. However, we will be doing a base game only build, building on a 30 by 20, so a lot that is 30 tiles wide and only 20 tiles deep. So I'm going to start right here, 3 tiles back and 1 tile in, and draw a 7 tile wall and another 7 tile wall. This space is going to be divided up into 2 bedrooms. I'm going to add a 3 tile by 3 tile bathroom here, and we're going to turn this hallway into sort of an L, which is 3 tiles right on this spot and 2 tiles wide back here. If you enjoy this home and you want to expand it, the easiest way is going to be building more rooms off in this general direction by either extending the hallway or just adding rooms directly off of it. Or you could extend the hallway this way and add more rooms if you wanted to preserve the backyard. I'm going to add 1 more bedroom over here, which is going to be 4 tiles this way and 5 tiles this way. And now I'm going to come out 2, go to the left 6. This will be our dining space. Down 1 and left 6 again. This will be our kitchen. I'm going to go back 8. But take off a small section here for a small half bath. And then for our main bedroom at the back here, it will be 5 by 6. So 6 tiles this way and 5 tiles this way. I am going to add a 2 by 4 attached bathroom right there. Now we're going to start in this corner and go 2, 2, 1, and connect. I'm going to add a little wall bit here. This will be a stairwell. So this is what your floor plan should be looking like right now. And if we go up a level, you can just grab that room tool and add a room right here. So it should line up with the front right here, as well as lining up on the corner on this side. Now if we add our stairs, you can see they come out 1 tile away from the wall in that little stairwell we made. While we're here, I'm going to grab a low half wall and draw it right across here to open up into the dining room below. I would like to keep some of this space for sort of a TV room, would be what I would put up here, but you could open up the whole space if you wanted to, leave it all closed. Depends on what direction you're moving for your build. Alright, we're going to get into some funky shapes here. We're going to start with the custom room tool and draw back here, but all of these walls we will delete because we're doing a deck. It's just going to be a little bit easier to draw it instead, just because it's a lot of directions all at once. So we're going to start at this corner of the house, and we're going to go out 6 tiles, and then over 3, back 1, over 7, back 1, over 4, and then we're going to go down and connect this area right here. Now you can grab the wall tool and hold control to remove walls, or you can go through with the sledgehammer I am going to leave this wall right here and delete that ceiling. Next up, a pool. I'm going to start here, go up and around. This is going to be a bit of a funky shape. Next, I'm going to take the foundation and raise it up too. Grab this concrete, which we can change out to a different texture later, and I'm going to draw in a space like this. Use Control F to get quarter tiles and place them right there. Next, we're going to use our terrain tools to lower the terrain here a bit. Flatten the terrain. I'm going to use a square, and I'm going to flatten this area. Now what I wanted here was a fountain, but I can't place a fountain right next to a pool, so instead we have to do it this way. So in the end, this is the general shape we're looking for. Here, I'll do it from above so you can see it a little bit better. Once we have all of the paint and the flooring and the foundation and everything in place, it's going to look really, really cool. For now, it looks a little bit silly, but don't worry. Up here, off the back, I am going to do a small deck that we can walk out onto right here. Full disclosure, I added this because I could not figure out how to roof it, which is, you know, a little bit sad. Usually I do a lot of roofing, but just the way the build was coming together, it wasn't going to make a lot of sense. So here's what I have for the walls there. This little wall piece will make a lot more sense when we do roof it. If I color it, you can see it a little bit better. Finally, we are going to add a bit of a deck off the front, like this, so it should be 2 tiles away from the wall all around. If I turn the grid on, you can see it a little bit better there. So that's what your front sort of deck should look like, and back here we can actually add a fountain, so we're going to do that right here. Just kidding, that was weird. Alright, so I'm going to draw a fountain and then expand it because apparently it wanted to meet up with the foundation, which didn't happen before. Now we're good. We will have a little front path like that. Again, we'll recolor it later, but just so you can see where the build is heading. And now we are going to move on to the roof. Starting on the left, grab a half gable roof piece and hold Alt to pull it up to the second story here. That will keep it at the same height, and adjust the pitch, which is what we want, so that we can grab a gable roof piece and match the pitch. Now we're going to pull these eaves out until they cover the entire deck area down here. Same with this eave. Don't worry about holding shift, we do need the same on the front and the back, so it should look like that. If we turn the grid back on, we can add our roof piece right here, which is going to come off of this wall. Shrink it down so that it's only 1 tile wide, pull it into the rest of the roof, drop your pitch all the way, and then holding shift, extend this eave, and it will line right on up. Just like that. But now we have the roof pieces we need for everything else, so I'm going to grab this, copy it, and place it down here. I will be bringing the eaves back to a normal size though, and resizing it to ensure that it fits properly. Now I'll grab this half gable, rotate it so it's facing the other way, and with this one you do actually need to split it in half, so go ahead and shrink the one side, copy and place it. That's because we're going to add some stone detail here, but leave this wood. And actually, now that I think about it, we need to do the same thing with this roof piece, because on the back here we need to hold shift and pull this eave in on either side so that it matches up nicely. If you're not a super big fan of that sort of valley, you can copy another one of the gable roof pieces, bring the eaves in on both sides, bring it down to size, and that will sort of bridge that gap there. Over here, we'll grab one more of those gable roof pieces, and we want to make sure that these eaves aren't clipping, so we're going to hold shift again to pull this back, copy, place, and bring the side eaves in, just like that. This would be a good opportunity to use the beveled out roof trim if you wanted to. I still think it's a little bit big for my personal taste, but it would suit the build style alright, so I'll be going with the square roof trim, and I'm going to be using a fairly dark wood for my accent today. So I'll start with that. If you're just using base game, I recommend using some of the sort of rougher shingles, which is what I will ultimately end up going with. But if you have any of the other packs, if you have anything that looks kind of like a wooden roof with wooden planks, which I think this is the closest one I have, and it's not great, it's obviously not wooden planks, but that look, if you have any packs that have a roof that looks like that, if there are any, this would be a great time to use it. Again, I'm just going to stick with this one. Anything but default though. Now I want to talk to you briefly about columns. Ideally, the columns you are going to use are going to be the most plain columns you can get. So the experienced pillar from Get Together is an excellent option. The concrete column would even work. Even the op-ed column, even though it has a bit of a taper, would be fine. This one from Snowy Escape would be perfect. Unfortunately, none of these are in the base game. And because I do want to keep this as base game friendly as possible, I'll be going with this column. But what we're going to do is, oh, that's right. Now you have to decide if you want it to clip through a little bit here or not quite connect down here. Of course, it's just a matter of taste, do what you prefer, but we're going to take that column and place it every 2 tiles across the front here. as well as matching up with the side like this, so it lines up with the wall there. Once you've adjusted the height, it should look something like that. And we're going to copy these same columns and the same layout to the back of the build here. It's just going to be half of them instead. If you'd like to add a chimney, a way that I would like to do it would be add the 2.25 medium wall, or half wall, medium half wall, and draw a little room, about like that. That will help your build feel a little bit less symmetrical, but still keep that boxy sort of chimney column that was extremely common at this time. Next up, let's talk siding. Wood is the name of the game, and both fir and cedar were super common. Those are both sort of mid-range wood tones, however you could go a little bit lighter, go a little bit darker. Stain does exist, you just really don't want anything painted, so you want some sort of wood tone to really be showing through. You could use vertical paneling like the starboard, or the pinstripe grains in the unfinished wood version. If you have seasons or any other of the packs that have other wood siding options, you can go for those. I will be sticking with the clapboard crush in sort of a mid-tone. Now you're probably noticing that you have a bit of white right here. There are a couple of ways you could fix that. One of them would be drawing a wall and then using this budget spandrel in the dark brown option, just like that, or you could potentially add the inlaid exterior trim. However, that's automatically going to want to place all around your deck, so you'd have to make a separate room, place it, and then delete the walls. I'm going to stick with the spandrel. I will change out my half wall trim though for a more appropriate brown. And if this is just too much wood for you, no worries, you can add some stone. I'm going to add stone by using the There For You foundation and using this swatch, because it has a matching stone swatch here, the Mega Stacked Stone, and I'm just going to use that as a bit of an accent right there. You can add it in maybe one other wall if you really wanted to, however, again, we really want to stick primarily with the wood tones. I'm also going to use it inside my pool. Oh, and the chimney. Next up is doors and windows, and you can pretty easily search by mid-century in the style category here, and you can use anything in here that shows up. For the base game, I'll be using this door and these windows primarily, trying to make sure I get my swatches to match, which is easier said than done. I'm going to go with that one because it's the closest. And even though that is a bathroom, we can add curtains or something. The full glass front looks really nice. I'm going to add 5 windows across the front here so that each bedroom gets ample light. And on this 2-story wall here, I am going to turn on move objects, because now what I can do is I can use 9 or control 9. Console, I do not remember what your keys are for this. And I'm going to raise it up twice, all across the side here. And then placing the row of windows above, I'm going to raise it up once. If 9 isn't working for you, try control 9. If control 9 isn't working, try 9. It has to do with camera settings, and I don't remember what they are because I don't remember setting them. I just know that one day I couldn't use 9 anymore. People on the internet have tried to explain it to me, and I very much appreciate it. Stranger than the internet, I just don't understand. Alright, moving into the kitchen, I am going to place 2 windows right in the middle there, a full wall of windows off the back of the bedroom here, and one in the bathroom for good measure, a wall of windows off of the office, as well as right here off of this bedroom, 1 window there, 1 window there, 3 in the middle, and I'm going to use that very same door for the back here, and right here. I can place those same windows and door upstairs, and now this space is going to get loads of light, which is awesome. So there's a quick look at the back and the front. Also, I am basing this home off of a small section of the Aubrey Watzek House. I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing any of the names in this video properly, but I am doing my best. This was really a landmark house in the Northwest regional style. So I don't know if you can really tell, but I am basing this portion of the house off of this area here. Obviously it's modified to fit the space a bit better, but if you're looking for more inspiration or you'd like to build a bigger home or whatever, I will have this page linked down below. And on Pinterest, of course. Let's finish up these floors outside and then we'll move inside to discuss some colors and furnishing. I'm going to use these rustic slate pavers. I think they work pretty well. I'm going to put these at the bottom of my pool. The pond we will come back to later to finish, but if you don't like that white trim on your pool, you can switch it out down here. You can use brown, gray, anything that sort of completes your vision. Inside, that's right, we're talking about more and more wood. We will need some doors, but once again, you can sort by mid-century and pick which ones you like. The first thing I want to place is this arch leading into the open concept living space here, but I will also place some doors leading into the bedrooms. I hear that those are pretty convenient. Bathroom, and because I'm feeling fancy, let's do a double door into the main. Mid-century does actually give us 2 different floor types, which is kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Technically, this is cherry wood, which I do not believe is native to the Pacific Northwest, but so long as your overall color scheme is matching the vision that you have for the build, I don't think it matters too much. So I'll be going with these. And for the walls, if you can stomach more wood, going with some paneling would be an excellent option. put in some lights since y'all are so needy. However, my eyes get really crossed up if I look at too many busy patterns in a small space for too long, so I'm not going to be doing paneling extensively throughout the home. I will use it here and there, like in a bedroom, but this would all just be too much for me. However, to keep with the spirit, you could grab something that still has the wood on it, but has a bit more of a toned down color, or at the very least just something with some baseboards. You're still going to find mostly natural tones, again, very common in the era, but this is The Sims 4, nobody's going to be mad at you if you use a different paint color. So if bubblegum pink is just what the heart needs, go for it. This is how I'm going to be finishing up my spaces, although I did put some paneling here so that this transition looks a little bit less weird. Also, usually the roof shows here and it's not today. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's a feature or what. Now let's talk about this kitchen. Because I have the space, I'm actually going to put a bar in the island. However, of course, you do not have to. And you want to go with some sort of, again, mid-century, contemporary style counter. Nothing too busy or old-fashioned. With that being said, I am going to do a little bit of an experiment here and see if I can get away with using a wood front bar if I can get another white counter that matches up decently. Now if I'm doing any sort of island and I don't want to go through the mess of making the backsplash line up, I will just put the stove here, because then when I go to add my cabinets, I don't have to worry about that backsplash either showing up or not. Yeah, I don't think I like that. On this side of the windows, I am going to do a little bit of a built-in cabinet, just like that, and if you want custom cabinets like this, just click the little gear icon, and then you can pick whatever cabinet you want. Different ones have different options, like this one is a full floor-to-ceiling closed cabinet. This one has some glass doors. It all depends on which cabinets you're using, but that lets you mix and match so that you can have glass cabinets, corner cabinets, normal cabinets, short cabinets, the whole 9 yards. A sink would be helpful. And in this space, if you had a pack that had a small bench, such as Dream Home Decorator, this could be a cute place to put one of those. However, during playtesting, I realized that I could take this shelf, pick a color that I liked, size it up 1, and create sort of a floating workstation effect, which you could also recolor to match the windows. And if I turn the grid on, if I hold Alt and place the trash can right in the middle of this little square right here, it still works. From here I can add decorations by placing them on the counter and then using Alt to place them on my shelf. And as long as I don't get too close to the trash can, it works great. It doesn't block the windows too much that way. You could even add a useless chair if you really want to get into the storytelling. So yeah, that's just how I decided to close off that space. If you do want counters to go all the way across, just use shorter windows, no big deal. If you have move objects on, you can make a full bath in this space, and I'm going to show you how to do it because it's just really handy to know. You're going to place the door, and then either here or here, you're going to place a shower. You can then add a sink and mirror next to the shower, facing the same direction that the shower opens, and then take a toilet and put it right up in the corner like this. The toilet still works fine, your sim can access the sink and the shower and everything, and it works great. So if that fits the style of your home, go for it. Now for this bathroom, so long as right here is clear, your sims can still use this bathtub, so we can add a toilet and a sink and a mirror and it will work fine. Now we have this bathroom, which you could use some blinds like that. Place these to the side and pretend they get pulled all the way across. Same deal with these. Or you could leave it without blinds and just take advantage of the fact that Sims can't actually see through windows, which is just weird to me. I am going to do a double vanity, but we still have plenty of space for a tub and shower and a toilet. So that's how I would lay out the bathrooms. Again, if you're looking to expand this home, I wouldn't recommend adding too much more of a second story because overall these homes are supposed to be somewhat on the short side. However, you do have a dead-end hallway over here and over here that you could easily extend in either direction, especially if you want to maintain that sort of courtyard feel in the middle. And if you wanted to make it smaller, you could pretty much just knock off this little back portion here. But what if you want to update it and make it look more modern and more contemporary? If you missed our mid-century video, we talked in there and a bit here and there in other videos about how the mid-century movement kind of became the contemporary movement. So most of the contemporary homes you see today are very mid-century at their core still. And the same goes for this build. So if you really wanted to grab something more contemporary, I would start with simplifying the columns if you haven't already. Switching out some of the color scheme to include a little bit less wood. You still want to hold on to a lot of the wood because otherwise you're just going to walk straight away from the Northwest Regional style, which is no good, but using a little bit less wood or switching out the natural stone for a smoother concrete finish could work really, really well. You could also simplify the roof a bit by switching out for a concrete texture, adding flat areas of roof instead of sloped traditional roof pieces, or switching out for metal roofing. Same goes for inside, cleaning up the walls, getting rid of the baseboards, modernizing the kitchen a little bit can all go a really long way, but you don't want to get rid of too much of the wood because again, then it's just going to be a normal contemporary house, and where's the fun in that? There's actually a lot of fun in that, but for the sake of actually keeping the style, you know what I'm saying. Before we finish up with landscaping, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on the bell, and comment what styles you guys would also like to see featured in these videos. Also, here's what I originally had in this script for this video when I started drafting them and putting it all together in November. Quote, I know it's a stretch, but you've surprised me before and I would love to hit 2,000 subs for my birthday at the end of the month. End quote. It is still 2022 and we have blown past that goal, so thank you. From the bottom of my little builder's heart, I wasn't sure if this series was going to go anywhere, but between the roofing videos and the Build Like a Nerd series, all the shorts I've been posting, and TikTok, and who knows where else you guys have been coming from, just crawling out of the woodwork here. You're here, you are appreciated so much, but it has led to me to consider restructuring these videos a bit, restructuring how I'm posting content to keep getting you guys the quality of videos that you deserve. I'll talk about that more in the future because this has been enough of a break and we can just finish up the landscaping here, but I wanted to let you know that a discussion is coming. Let's landscape. We do want this to kind of look like Oregon, and I don't live there. It looks like we have a mix of coniferous as well as deciduous trees, definitely a lot of uneven terrain, which we knew about already from just the description of these homes. I can't build a mountain, especially not on a lot this size, but we can make sure we get in some of that lush greenery. So I'm going to grab some evergreen trees. And remember, you can scale up and down using the bracket keys, which really helps to get some of that variety in your landscaping. Birch trees are also native to the Oregon area, so we'll go ahead and grab some of those. We want to make sure the trees aren't blocking anything too much in these thumbnails, and this one is definitely blocking a good amount of the inside, so we're going to want to reconsider that tree placement. Probably just move it over here. Much better. It's still blocking a bit of the view, but we'll work around it. I'm also going to grab some hedgerows to place at the front of the house here. I suppose a mailbox and a trash can would be reasonable. And we'll just finish it up with some flowers and rocks. And for our back little fountain here, I am going to add some plants sort of around it to make it clear that this is a more natural water feature as opposed to the pool. Sometimes your lily pads like to float, so I recommend placing them at an angle to make sure that doesn't happen. And don't forget, you can also change the color of the water, which can add a lot of realism. I'm going to add a small fountain as well because I can. And of course, I recommend painting the bottom so that it's not green and grassy. If you do want weeds on the bottom though, grabbing this green grass and placing it down there can give you some depth and realism. From there, we'll just paint around all of our paths, plants, add stairs because somehow I completely forgot to come back and do that. Anyway, paint under the foundation a bit as well. And you can tell it's almost the end of the day because I completely forgot to finish up this fountain. I think I'm just gonna add one of the fish, maybe 2 fish. If you want your chimney to smoke, you will have to place a smaller chimney in there. So you can just grab a chimney and shrink it down a little bit, stick it in there, and you will get some smoking effect. I'm going to switch over so you can see everything working, which is of course in the middle of the night, so we'll give that a second. So there's a look at the front. It is morning, so the light isn't the greatest, but you can see the little fish fountains going. And there's the back fountain, and of course everyone chilling in the pool, because why not? So what makes the Northwest regional style special? Well, it is more or less a mid-century style home, as it was built around the same time and still drew from the international and modern movements. It still remains a style all of its own, based on this heavy reliance on wood and other indigenous materials. You can see that mid-century influence on the more open living space as opposed to having multiple closed-off rooms, and overall the asymmetrical design. However, the reliance on well-maintained, appealing garden spaces, and again, local wood and stone, as well as being mostly built in the Northwest Pacific area, all make this style unique. Now, this is a video game, so where you build doesn't matter as much, but it's still fun to learn about what makes each style unique, and when it's location, it just presents that much more of a challenge to builders like you and me to bring that style through. And that's what I have for you guys today. I highly recommend checking out the links down below in the video description. As always, my social links are all on there, so if you're interested in following me on TikTok or seeing the stuff that I post on Pinterest, you can of course check those out. But I also have the article linked specifically that talks about the house that I drew the inspiration for this build from. Remember to come back tomorrow where we'll actually build the Northwest suburban home, which is probably a style that you're more familiar with. And if you enjoyed this video, you're going to love the rest of the series, which you can check out in this playlist here. There's a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Thank you again so much for building with me today, and I look forward to building with you again tomorrow.